in South Africa. So by targeting parents and they can see the benefit of the tool, they're more likely going to make sure that their kids sign up for it. At the end of the day, they're the one that's going to pay that fee. So if it's happy for a parent, then more likely the kids will follow the cheer. And they managed to actually increase the sales and end up selling the business while the business was doing very well. So customer segmentation, it's important. Just because the person is the one using your product doesn't mean it's your user, your targeted user. So they obviously, in terms of the market analysis, we can look at different pros and cons there. Is that if you look at South African mobile landscape, it's absolutely growing with the increase on smartphone usage and data accessibility, especially in the urban areas. This represents an opportunity on its own, but it can also represent a challenge because now you're dealing with a wider audience across different areas. So my business uses so many different of them: banks, individual companies, as well as merchants. And to really cater for these, we had to build a huge banking system that speaks to different users altogether. Basically, we kind of built 5 different companies at one go, which is so huge. So that represents challenges because if you don't have resources and the team to be able to do that, then you actually are presented with a vast market that has smart cell phones and non-smart cell phones. So obviously that's in terms of the market analysis, that you're dealing with a huge market, especially in South Africa, that has access to smart cell phone, but there's a cost of data as well. How do you make your app accessible to a majority of South Africans without having to buy an app? So and data, that's so huge. The cost of living as well now, it's so huge as well. You need to cater for all of that. People are more likely going to spend money to buy a loaf of bread rather buying data, prepaid data. So you gotta compete with the product that you should not be competing with just because you've got a mobile app. Because now you're competing with Albany bread, and they're not a mobile app, but they're all coming from. They have to be paid with the very same legal resources that people have. Customer segmentation there. You have to deal with the issue of age, location, income level, digital habits as well. So here you can also deal with the issue of authority in terms of customer segmentation. I just use an example now of a psychometric test a company that was struggling to penetrate the markets in terms of youth who are in high school, but they went through the parents and they increased their revenue by almost 70%. So what is important here is that you know your customer segmentation. So when you build your user personas, this is going to be more important. For example, a young professional user might need budgeting tool if your app is finance related, while a student must seek education resources or psychometric test if they're in high school. So knowing your users deeply will then help you to understand your product better, as well as the decisions you're going to make within your marketing. So know your customer segmentation. There are many other characters that make customer segmentation. We just look at the primary one, which is age, location, income level, digital habits. But there are many. You could break them down into health conscious customers. You could break it down into many, and that speaks obviously to other types of habits. Financial projections. Why this is important is because you have to come with money-making strategies, all right? It's all about how do people pay for your app. So if common options that are there for anyone to see, it's in-app purchase, where you acquire you take your revenue as quick as possible from the app in purchase, or you use subscriptions. So in this case, you are collecting revenue directly from the users themselves. So that needs to inform the projection. You could have multiple revenue strategy. That's fine. You could have in-app purchases at the same time have ads, where companies place ads and they pay you fee for that, or you use or monetize the data in different ways. So that's important there in terms of what you must have within your financial projection. as a seed, I do angel investing as a seed investor. So that for me, it's important. I'm more likely going to make a decision on financial projections as well as just product specifications without even a bigger business plan. Financial projection is everything. So whereas in terms of predicting revenue, it's all about projection. I did mention that discounted cash flow model for startups where you sell investment for a future value now because you've got projections that is validated and achievable. So that speaks to predicting the revenue. So you could say that if you've got 10,000 users at the moment, they're all paying you, you're making a revenue of 20,000 per month. You almost can project that if we increase this by 30% and it's achievable within a year one, so it means we more likely achieve revenue growth by 30%, et cetera, et cetera. You almost can really see and predict where you're going with your revenue. Cost structure, I did talk about this as well. Make sure you have your cost structure. Usually when you engage with a lot of investors, they'll always ask you first question right up front, what is your cost structure? It's because they want to know exactly where your margin sits, how expensive it is to actually sell one product in relation to the price of the product itself as well. Is the product, if one buys it, do they stay with this product for 12 or more years until they have to come and buy another one? For instance, you buy a motor vehicle more likely within 5 to 10 to 15 years. So you don't buy it every day. So all of that is important to be part of the cost structure, because therefore it tells the investor exactly how viable your business is in a long term. Any questions around that so far? Where we are? Let me have a look at the charts. All right. So this is from Mustafa. It says, if pre-revenue, how to project revenue realistically? Yeah, that's important. So you will obviously, if, for instance, you are running in-app store for, let's say, 20 Rand per year, or subscription for 20 Rand a year, you will then take the number of the users you believe you would like to target, and then you times that by 20 Rand per year, and then you do that over a period of 5 years. Then you bring it down to monthly, more likely revenue, how it's going to look like. So you will have to do the projection, but your projections have to be realistic. How many users you're going to acquire over a period of a year one, year two, year three, year four, year five, and the revenue attached to that becomes important. Yeah. I will suggest that you do some exercise around, look at what other competitors' app looks like and how they're pricing, because you can get the best projection once you know what your pricing strategy looks like, and more likely what your user targets are you looking for in year one, year two, year three, year four, five. Usually it's the best practice to have year one to year five revenue. Break down year one into 12 months because it's the very sensitive year. One wants to see the flow of funds, how the money is coming in and going out. It is important. So another question is, how many personas should one target? Maybe max 3. My app is shopping app. You could have so many personas to target. It's really up to you. But also it's very important that you've got the means to target as many different personas. As I've said, in my business, we've got the individuals, we've got the banks, we've got the companies, and we've got the merchants. And within those, there are different users as well. So yeah, there's no limit. Just also know how to target those user personas and the impact they more likely will have on your product as well. Obviously, the very diverse or broader user personas you have, it means you need more resources to get to them. Maybe you could have as many different user personas, and then you start prioritizing them by ranking them and say, well, the first 3 are must have in this business. The others can then come in a year one, etc. So that probably could help you be able to narrow down your resources in making sure you reach to each persona cost effectively and more effectively as well. So let's look at user acquisition as an example there. All right, Tsepo, your hand is up.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I just wanted to know on the channel when it comes to your persona, because I know with the credits, I'm not sure if it's only Google specific channels that we can advertise on. Because I know like some of my users are on TikTok. Um, I wanted to know what are your thoughts around that in terms of the channel here.
Obviously, this is a Google event, so you are going to be allocated Google credits. So yeah, you can only use them within the Google environment. Obviously, as a business, you can explore other avenues. It's up to you. Yeah, so that is important. Yeah. All right, so let's few more slides and we bring this to an end. If I can just ask for 6 or 10 more minutes from the participants, then we're going to take a break. So what you're seeing there um, on your screen, it's there are 3 main strategies to consider to attract more users to your app. The first is marketing and user acquisition. Basically, you use digital marketing methods such as social media, influencers, partnership, content marketing. So you basically focus on popular platforms that are popular in South Africa. WhatsApp ads and ads on Facebook can get you there. The next is App Store optimizations. So these are important. The first one, you spend a lot of money there. The second one is really more about optimization of your app in your app store. So you make sure your app is easily accessible. People can fund it. So you use easy keywords that speaks to exactly what your app offering is. You have a clear descriptions and you've got visuals that are top notch and speak to exactly what your app is all about. Don't worry, we're going to dive a lot into this app store optimization in the next few days. You will understand the technicality that you have to put in place to be able to really get this out of the way. So that's the second way in which to get your app out there in terms of user acquisitions. Lastly, you can consider referral programs. These are very big and I encourage them. Some of them can be by people being retained and happy, they bring others. Others could be by design, where you actually set up certain functionalities within your app where people could share your app, download link to different users or friends within their social media as well. So there's so many ways in which this could be designed, and I will encourage you to have a look at it. Another way in terms of expanding feature sets, this is so important because remember, every feature you have must be user-centric feature. So when you develop these features, get feedback, do review, analyze whether these features really does support other features in your business. You can also look which features more appealing to the users. Where do they spend most of the time on? And then you can just make sure you take care of that. Do not remove features just because of gut feelings. You must have data that says, well, this feature it's performing less than what it's expected. Maybe it must be revised or changed here or tweaked here or there or deleted all completely. So have a look at all those things as well, because when you have these features, they have so much to do with customers' retention and happiness as well, in terms of language as well. So it is important to make sure the language is within the localizations. In South Africa, we've got multiple languages. So be considerate of that as well. So if you use English as a standard language, that's fine. But if you start going to other specific languages, be careful there, because if your app it's in isiZulu, more likely, or some aspects of it's in isiZulu, the more likely other people speak other languages may not find it appealing. And right in the first instance, they will say, well, this this doesn't speak to me. So be careful with that. The type of payment options are so important. Yes, obviously, if you could be able to get people to pay in cash, that would be amazing, because cash is king in South Africa. 5% of GDP contribution is coming from cash-related activities. But we all know that that's not going to be possible. So make sure that though it's easier for people to pay any fees on your app, because the worst part that one could have is to have an amazing app that is that's like fish in the water. It's the top app. It's a market fit, but people sign up, they can't pay because the methods in which they will have to pay for any activities are not within your user personas. So you're targeting, they say you're targeting students, but you require credit card as a app purchase payment option. So more likely, students credit card. I know that the check accounts now cater for that, but you need to be really considerate. And that's why you could see that many payment gateways in South Africa use different methods. So make sure your payment gateway really does speak to different LSM in South Africa, especially from LSM3 all the way to LSM7, if that's your target audience. Obviously, the last one is to make sure that your app is iterative in terms of development style. What does it mean? That it's flexible in practice. Basically, it allows for regular features testing as well as updates based on user feedback with easy. So you could basically make sure that you can easily deploy these new features. You can easily, update features as well without having to go through a long development process, because time is important when it comes to how you use that feedback from the users. And obviously, in terms of how to enhance the user experience, you must update your app regularly. So you must have a Google Calendar on certain updates that has to run through your app on an ongoing basis, because that's part of user retention. You must ask for feedback. I've said that, and you must use your community. And I've seen some apps that have community sections where it allows, obviously, with a lot of control, allows users to share their experience, tips, and engagement, especially around gaming. I've seen community within gaming where people will share about their experiences. So let's look at what could be the blockers to growth. If you have to grow your app, it's definitely market competition, but you could use Google Analytics to understand what your competitors are doing. You can look at the trends so that you can plan ahead. Keeping users, make sure that you keep a refresher, you incentivize users, you update your content all the time, you make sure that you personalize some of their experiences, you give some rewards as well for the users so you could keep them happy. Technology limits, it's so important, because poor internet and connectivity, it's a real issue in South Africa. So make sure your app downloads easily and works easily without someone have to have sort of high-end internet connectivity, because you're not going to get that in across many areas in South Africa. And another blocker could be the growth of your system. Can your system retain 10 million users? Is it built to be able to accommodate many users at the same time? So legal rules, I've shared an example of regulatory environment. There's certain things you can't do, even if you want to do them in the business, because they all are governed by some form of regulations that you will have to meet. So just because of the sake of time, this could be a take-home activity. Build your business plan. I think many of you guys already have this in place about exactly what your market analysis is, your segmentation of customers, what are your projections, what are your growth roadmap, what are you going to do to scale your business and grow it, and what are the challenges you're experiencing and how you plan to fix them. So let's take this as a take-home exercise that you could do as a reflection, because some of these things you guys have. Another one is around build your business plan. You can see there, we spoke about, we already shared this, which is building your business plan, your market analysis, all the way to the challenges. The question here is, Mashiru, are you going to share these slides with us? And the answer is we are not allowed to, but I think Irene will come in. I'm just closing the session now to go through the resources. There are many resources you could use in terms of financing. I will also encourage angel investors, IDC and others. I saw in IDC, I think they had some calls for new technologies grants. So have a look at that. Also, I think it's called TIA. Have a look at them as well. They've got some grants there up to 10 million rand that they can give. Obviously, it's a long process. In terms of human resources, this is where you can find your expertise. Many years ago, I've used Freelancer. It was really good to troubleshoot some of the development issues that I had before I hired the team. So have a look at that as well, because they can compensate. Your expertise in-house if you are short in certain areas. In terms of technology resources, Firebase, Google Cloud, GitHub. My team use a lot of GitHub for collaborating in terms of building softwares, and in terms of funding opportunities, repeating itself there. And Standard Bank actually now they have issued out a call for ASI businesses, technology businesses. Have a look at their website and also their social media. They're calling for that. I've dealt with Knife Capital before, so these are some of the big funding opportunities that you can have a look at it. And universities as well, they have some of the opportunities in partnership with TI. So have a look at that as well. And in terms of analyzing what your competitors are doing, so there we go. Competitor, we have, we've got, you must identify what your competitors are doing. You must analyze their strengths and weaknesses. You must also look at the user feedback. This you could find it through Google review as well to see what the users' feedback are. If it's on the app as well, read those app reviews, because we always take them for granted. Some of those app reviews based on our competitors, we could find some ideas on how not to repeat or fall into the very same trap. So in terms of stats, business tech and statisticians have the stats. And this activity, resource planning, it's all about planning up your team. You could do this, you can take this as a home tech activity. So ask yourself a question: do you have the right number of people and the expertise in-house to be able to take your business to the next level? And this brings us to the end of this session. Any questions? I'm happy to answer them, but because of the sake of time,